I'm here to discuss the so-called flying saucer.
The whole fleet of them, look on the ASA. My God.
Unidentified.
The acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
Anomalous.
We have spacecraft from another species.
We do, yeah.
How many?
Quite a number.
Since 1947, we have received and analyzed between 1 and 2,000 reports that have been made by credible observers of relatively incredible things.
Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's very special edition of the Unidentified Anomalous podcast. I'm Digby Furno, and joining me, as always, my wonderful co-host Tom Thompson, aka Cortex Zero. Tom, how are you today?
I'm doing well, Digby. Doing well, thank you. Another solid week in my life, and I know you're not over here, but happy 4th of July to anybody that will end up watching this.
Indeed. Happy Treason Day to all the Americans.
Yeah, that.
None of you will be watching this on the 4th of July because it's coming out.
From your perspective.
But anyway, belated happy 4th of July / Treason Day to all my American friends out there. Today is a funny one, isn't it, Tom? We've got somewhat of a, how shall I put this? What's a nice way of putting this, Tom?
Controversial figure.
Controversial figure, thank you. Jaime Maussan is joining us shortly on today's show, and I'm personally very much looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to hearing his version of things and get to the bottom of some of the gaps, perhaps, in the evidence. We've got a set of questions lined up for him. We're going to treat this respectful, but there are questions out there that people need the answers to, so we're going to ask them because nobody else is. Well, they are, but they're not. He's not answering them.
Again, this is one of those situations where, regardless of who comes on the show, of course, we want to be respectful to our guests always, and to make sure that when we are asking these types of questions, it's done in a professional way. And always give our guests an opportunity to present their side of things, right? Because there's always three sides to a story. That's definitely true. So that's what we're going to do here today, obviously.
Well, without further ado, let's head over to the man himself. Jaime and Joyce, welcome to the Unidentified Anomalous podcast. Thank you so much for making time to speak to us today. I'm sure both your schedules are incredibly busy. As you know, Matt Ford on the Good Trouble Show has been covering the mummies again, and everybody's talking about it, some for, some against. And I thought now was a really good opportunity to have you to come on and speak about any recent developments and where you think this is going. So why don't you start by telling us, what's going on at the moment?
Well, at the moment, we have found more bodies. We have, I don't know if 8 or 10 bodies of the same species. They are, all of them are tridactyls, and all of them are real. There is no question in our minds that we are dealing with the most incredible case in history, probably. And now I am in the middle of the lawsuit that I put against the government of Peru and the Ministry of Culture of Peru. I believe we are winning because we won the first stage, and now we are waiting. Now in the last 4 to 8 months, it will be decided, and I think we're going to win because they have not done any investigation, as Jois Mantilla can demonstrate and talk about. They haven't done any work on this moment, just use a different body, a small body. We don't know where they took that body from. We don't know if it's real or not. There are no carbon-14 analysis, no DNA analysis, nothing. And they say because that body was assembled, everything else is assembled. then it's a lie. It's a pure lie, as well as what they did in January this year when they presented two handcraft mummies that were confiscated at the airport in Lima.
Yeah.
From the very first moment, the artesano, the handcraft man, said they are mine. I made them. I sold them because it's my way of living. And they use that bodies to say, "Oh, we now have more proof that all of this is not real." But the case is real, and there is no question in my mind.
I think some of the evidence that was presented by Dr. O'Connor on the Good Trouble show was really fascinating. And then his follow-up guest the following week had a few more questions. And I think a lot of people in the community, quite rightly, have questions. And I've been given some that people want some answers to. And I'd really love to hear what you have to say about it and see if you can put some people's minds at rest. Because I think it's really important, and I'd love for you to have the opportunity to do that. One of the main criticisms or main things that people talk about is the fact that they believe that Josefina's skull is a reversed llama skull, and they're saying that DNA hasn't been done. What do you say to people who think that? But how can you put people's concerns at rest?
Okay, it's not just the body. I mean, the head is not just the skull. It's the DNA. It's the carbon 14th. It's also the eggs inside the body. It's also the metal inside the body. What about that? It's all the tomographies, all the details in the hands. It's everything else in the body. So I prove that this is similar. It's similar. That's all. It's funny. For me, it was a surprise, but that doesn't mean that the whole body is fake, or we use a fake body in a real body, a fake head in a real body. No, I mean, it's very funny what they are trying to do with this. Why they don't explain what about the DNA? Why there is not this species is unique in the whole nature. I mean, there are a million species that were compared to this one, and not one was similar to this body.
They are. They're absolutely fascinating, and Tom and I have been talking a lot about it recently, and we're trying to piece it together as to why there's so many different species, why are they all in the same place. One of the theories that Tom and I was talking about was the possibility that these may be sort of ancient genetic manipulations or crossbreeding examples, something along those lines, because you've got so many different variations. I think we're all past the stage now where we think somebody has concocted these recently. I don't think that anybody in their right mind is still thinking that. I think the question that people generally have is whether these are ancient and were living beings, or ancient and put together 1,000 years ago. What do you think that there's a possibility that they are that as well?
No, they are real organisms. There is no question. If you analyze in detail the tomographies, the CAT scans, you can see the connection with the organism, the veins, all the details. A good scientist can find so many more details in the bodies. The bodies were alive. They were not assembled 1,000 years ago. They are real. No, the only body that was assembled 1,000 years ago, whenever, was the one that Paul Ransores presented to the Ministry of Culture. But that's a body that we don't know where it came from. And that's all I can say. But the bodies are real. But there are seven different species. All of them tridactyl. All of them. I have seen, we have in our possession at least 3 different kind of beings, 3 different. And there are 4 more. So I've seen the pictures. We are going to have access to other of to these creatures when we can make a deal with the government of Peru. Because what we want is to take these bodies to the universities in the United States. People ask me, Jaime, why you didn't take these bodies to the scientists in the States or in Europe or wherever there is a university that has all the necessary equipment to do this analysis. Because there is no university in the world, and I have to establish this very clearly, there is no university in the world that would uh, take this investigation if the government of Peru doesn't authorize legally
Sure.
to take these bodies out of Peru. How can I make the investigation then? We have to do it everything in Peru. We
Yeah.
have not taken anything out of Peru. The bodies I found here that I took to the Congress in Mexico were taken to Mexico by a friend, but not by me or by Joyce.
Mhm.
You know, and it's very important to ask Joyce because he has had a very important participation in this. He has put his skin in danger. I mean, you cannot imagine all the pressure that he has suffered from the Ministry of Culture of Peru. They want to put him in jail because we are trying to say the truth.
Yeah.
That's all we want. Just
Ki-
let me finish here.
Yeah, sure.
Do you think I would take to the Congress in Mexico something fake? I would be in jail. Not that by the Ministry of Culture, but by the Mexican government, by the Mexican Congress. How can I take something fake there? The bodies are real, the case is real, and there is so much more to find. And this case is going to change the history of the human beings.
I really hope it does, and we watch eagerly as it all unfolds. And I understand your frustration of not being able to get them away and get them to universities and people over in the States. Gary Nolan was on our show, but a week ago, and he was talking about the presentation that Dr. Connor gave on the Good Trouble show, and he was very rightly very impressed with Dr. O'Connor's presentation, as were both me and Tom, which reignited our interest in the subject. Because, like a lot of people, we critically question anything, as people interested in this subject do, we have to. Now, what's Joyce's involvement?
A mí lo que me preocupa es ver que en Estados Unidos importantes científicos están haciendo las mismas torpezas de los científicos peruanos. Agarrar cabezas de animalitos, ponerles plástico, plastilina, algún material sintético y comenzar a jugar con las apariencias. O sea, lo que les parece versus toda la ciencia que hemos avanzado durante 7 años. Se quedan entrampados en las cabezas de llama y dejan de lado toda la investigación, hasta incluso del fundador de la Academia de Ciencias Forenses de los Estados Unidos, que ha venido a Perú a verificar que se trata de cuerpos auténticos. Se quedan en las cabezas de llama. Jaime, please.
Yeah, John McDowell went to Lima. John McDowell is one of the forensic experts most recognized in the US. He received the Grand Wolf Award, and he went there and he made analysis on all these bodies, and he's interested. He accepted my invitation to direct this investigation. It's not what I'm supposed to do. I mean, invite the best scientists available.
Absolutely.
Those who want to do it. It's not what I should do. I am doing it. And from the very beginning, but at the very beginning, because probably this was from Latin America, because probably we don't speak well English, or you couldn't understand us, then they say, oh, that should be fake. Because the Minister of Culture is saying that these are assembled, then that should be the truth. But nobody questioned the Ministry of Culture of Peru. Nobody questioned how they made the analysis, where their bodies came from, what kind of carbon-14 they did, what kind of DNA analysis they did. Nothing. Just believe exactly what the Ministry of Culture said. And they didn't believe us when we presented DNA, carbon-14. We presented experts in the Mexican Congress. Dr. Jose Salce is a huge expert. He was the head of the forensic department of the Navy in Mexico. Nobody listened to him. And so many others, Jose de la Cruz Rios or Ricardo Rangel, the biologist. He analyzed the DNA and he said, I couldn't find any species on Earth similar to this. And he analyzed a million species, and he couldn't find anything even close to that. And that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that.
No,
Yeah.
I understand completely. I would like to ask: Have you done DNA testings on all of the bodies that you've got so far, or just the
No,
ones?
no. We did two bodies. Maria, the humanoid creature with 3 fingers,
Yeah.
big head, similar to us in many ways, but not the same. The bones are very thick. Nobody talks about that.
Mhm.
The head has not been, how do you say, created
Binded.
initially.
Yeah.
It's natural. All the organs are inside. You can check that. It's not a real mummy. That's one, and the other is the small ones. And we use Victoria because Victoria is headless. It doesn't have a head, but it's the same kind of body. And then we took bone from there. We took skin from there, and that's the reason we did it with Victoria. That means that we have 2 samples, 2 different species, and right now it's what we can do. However, I want to take all the bodies. If there are 8 to 10 bodies of the pterodactyl humanoids, that most people are more interested in these creatures similar to us than the little ones. In the little ones, they have doubts, whatever. I know when the big ones are considered real, then people are going to look to the small ones.
Yeah.
That makes a
even
lot of
other
sense.
kind of species that we have presented 3 different species so far.
Obviously you've been at this for quite a long time, and even, I mean, we've all had this happen to us. Sometimes we get behind a case or propose video clips and such, and sometimes along the way they get debunked. Because let's face it, not all of us are experts in every field that's required to examine everything. Do you think that because you've been at this for as long as you have, and there have been things that have been shot down, do you think that's something that's maybe been following you up to this point that creates more difficulty in you presenting this case to the world?
Of course, it's being used, but I don't remember any case that was proven completely that I was wrong. If you want to relate to the picture that I presented here at the National Auditorium, they said, "Oh, it's a small body, a 2-year-old body."
Oh, the Roswell slides, right?
Well,
You're talking about the Roswell at the B witness event?
Yeah, the big witness.
Gotcha.
I found the real picture of that body that was found in 1896, and I found it in the national files of the U.S. from the Agricultural and Forest Secretary.
Gotcha.
And the picture of the finding at the right moment in the real place with Palmer, the archaeologist, finding the body, compare both. Nobody want to look at that. Check it out. It's 2 different bodies. We don't know yet what was there in the museum where the picture was taken. We don't know yet. And they say, "Oh, it's been proven." It has not been proven. Or any other case, Jonathan Reed. Jonathan Reed is a character that it creates many doubts. However, we went to the place, we found radioactivity in the place. We made interviews with the people around that, the people that participated in the analysis of the body, of the skin of the body that was taken to a special laboratory, and what they found was fascinating. Nobody cares about that. And then they use that against me to say, because that was fake, that nobody has proof, now this is fake. You have to remember something. I am a journalist as well as Jois Mantilla, and he's an excellent journalist too. I was the head of 60 Minutes in Mexico. I was the head. I was the anchor and director. I was very good friends with Mike Wallace. I have received 3 times the National Award on Journalism in Mexico. I have received recognitions by the Capitol Hill. I have received recognitions by the UN. I have received recognitions by many different associations of journalists around the world. And now they tell me that I am a faker, I am a charlatan because of what? Because they don't like what I present. I am ethical. I am a professional. I have never lied, ever, ever. There is no one case. Look at my history. Try to find something that is not right. Oh yeah, well you presented the Jonathan Reed case and so on. Any case in this subject is, how can I say, is dubious. It creates so many arguments, but that doesn't
Oh,
mean,
absolutely.
because they can. What do you know? One case that is completely approved by everyone.
Oh God, no, no,
Then why
absolutely not,
would
absolutely
use
not.
that against me?
No, no, I
Because,
understand. I understand.
I don't know if you want to talk, Joyce, please.
Bueno, una persona como un periodista tiene que tener las pruebas, tiene que mostrarlas, tiene que tener el sustento adecuado para presentar. Si los medios de comunicación, si las autoridades que son las que tienen que encargarse de un hallazgo como este no les da la gana de hacer su trabajo, nosotros no vamos a detenernos. Tenemos que seguir aportando pruebas y evidencias como lo estamos haciendo por los últimos 7 años hasta que se vean obligados por la cantidad de información a tener que doblar el brazo y aceptar la verdad. Jaime, si lo puedes traducir, por favor.
They say that the media, I mean, they have to do their work. We cannot do we have to present the evidences, and somebody else has to do the work. That's more or less what Joyce said. I think you will be able to translate it better than me.
Yeah, no, I completely understand that, and there's only so much you can do. You're out here trying to bring this to the world, and but people are going to try and shoot you down. That's what people do.
And we're not scientists.
And we're not scientists, and everybody
none of
out
us
here
are.
is just trying to make the best of
that
it.
I am a scientist.
Yeah.
Look,
Well, we appreciate that.
I asked the scientists. So many scientists, more than 50 scientists, have participated in this investigation. 11 scientists from the ICA University who had the bodies for 4 years. 4 years. They've been able to analyze every single detail. They signed a letter. It's signed, it's official, with the name of the university saying these bodies are real. Why nobody cares about that? I mean, it's because it's Latin American, that university, because it's from Peru, because these scientists don't know what they are doing, or what? It's pure discrimination. If this one university from the States, any university from the States or Europe, 11 scientists sign a letter saying this is true, nobody would try to oppose that. Do you know what I mean?
I can understand that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I do. I do understand what you mean. Look, let's move on from this. Let's talk about some of your recent discoveries, and let's have a look at what's going on at the moment. I've got a video clip here that's ready that I'm just going to add on now, and maybe you could talk us through what we're seeing here so people can understand it.
Yeah, that's Rafael. Rafael is the little fetus. I said this is the definitive proof that this is real, because we found that this little creature is tridactyl. How can you fake that? How can you make a fetus inside a body that is more than probably 1800 years old? How can you do that?
It's amazing.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that.
You can see the big head. You can see the big head too. You can see that it's not a normal human being. That's Montserrat. That's the mother. You can see that she's trying to protect the little body that is inside her. You can see the fingers here. Do you think I cut the fingers and I put them something or somebody else did? That would be impossible, my friend.
I mean,
And
I think we're sort of beyond the possibility that you faked this. I mean, certainly me and Tom aren't suggesting that this is a fraud that you're putting forward.
Yeah, wouldn't they have found that by now, though? Honestly, if it's been studied by a university with any level of competence for 4 years, and it was constructed all the way through by chicken bones or whatever it may be, I feel like any university worth their weight in gold at all would have found that probably within the first couple months. You know what I mean? I'm not a scientist, obviously. None of us are. But if they're doing their work the way that they're supposed to, that would have been found out pretty quickly. I would think. I would hope, at least.
Yeah. I think if there's question marks over anybody's head at the moment that's reasonable, it's more the fact that they're old and they were put together years ago. But I mean, I'm certainly looking at these images and I'm thinking it doesn't look that way to me. The other question that has come up a couple of times is about these breastplates and the detail in the metal and the levels of osmium. Some people are saying that they're not osmium and that they are actually copper. I've seen one image and it does look like there's a sort of copper tarnish to it. But do you know what the levels of osmium are? What the percentage
yes,
is?
Joyce was there in that investigation. He can give us details from the National University of Engineering in Peru. Please go ahead, Joyce.
Esa muestra se tomó del cuerpo conocido como Luisa. Translate, Jaime, please.
Sí, esta muestra, this metal that we just saw was taken from the body of Luisa. It's not Josephine. Okay, continue.
Ok, exactly. Y esa muestra obtuvo que además de otros metales conocidos en la época, también tiene osmio, que es uno de los materiales más caros del planeta, más resistentes, y que solo se encuentra en 4 o 5 lugares del planeta. Coincidentemente, uno de ellos es cerca de Nazca. Jaime, please.
This sample has, besides other metals, has osmium. That is one of the rarest metals found on the planet. There are just 4 different places where you can find osmium, and one of them is near Nazca, where this was found. And let me add this: the osmium was discovered in 200 years ago, at the beginning of the 19th century, and we are talking about it that is at least 1,000 years old. How did they create osmium? The body that is saying, the people that is saying that this is not osmium, what it is then? Have they analyzed it? How do they know? They want to talk, just talk, because they have not presented any proof. Okay, what we want is these bodies to be taken to the US and analyze them there with the best universities. That they can have all the samples from the metals. They can find all what is there is going to be found. That's what we have to do. That's what I want to do. You know, and then we will stop discussing this. But I think it's very stupid to the people that say, "Oh, that's not osmium." How do you know? That would be my question.
I can't prove if it is or not.
Okay.
Have you got the metallurgical scans, the data to show people the percentage? Because I think that's one of the criticisms is that nobody's seen the metallurgy.
Okay. Adelante, Joyce.
Una idea, Jaime, que se la transmites, por favor, es: tenemos 1 tonelada de evidencia, resultados de laboratorios, estudios, análisis, escáneres, carbono 14, todo lo que te imagines. 50 científicos que han hecho todos estos procedimientos te dicen que los cuerpos son auténticos, que no son manipulados. Y los que dicen que es falso, manipulan muñecos, trabajan con Photoshop y te dicen que esto se parece a una cabeza de vaca o de llama o de perro o de gato. Entonces, el público tiene que analizar. Los que tienen pruebas, estudios, conocen los cuerpos y los han analizado, dicen que son ciertos. Y los que no han analizado nada y no han hecho ningún estudio dicen que son falsos.
Okay. ¿Puedes ampliar cuáles son los porcentajes de osmio que hay en esto? ¿Qué fue lo que se encontró en el metal?
El 80% del metal era cobre, otro porcentaje pequeño de plata, cobre y metales adyacentes, pero el osmio es una proporción pequeña, pero igual es importante, era como 15% aproximadamente.
Okay. The osmium is around 10-15%, according to, and this was analyzed by the National University of Engineering. Okay. They did the analysis, and anybody can go there and ask for the results, and I think they will find all the details. We are not scientists, as we are already discussed.
Jaime, hay que agregar que acaban de publicar un paper, una publicación científica, la Universidad de Ica, la Universidad de Ingeniería, la Universidad Nacional de Ingeniería. Hay varios catedráticos, investigadores, son como 7, si no me equivoco, que acaban de presentar un paper, una investigación científica con el logotipo y toda la presentación de la universidad sobre el análisis nada más de los metales.
Okay, this is very important. Joyce is saying that the university just presented a paper, 7 different scientists presenting all the results from the analysis of the metals, and it's with the logo of the university, and it's an official paper. Can I have a copy of that, my dear friend?
Sí, okay. Puedo mandarles una copia.
If I'm not mistaken as well, there was, I believe, out of Brazil, there's a peer-reviewed journal that did cover the bodies, and I think they were the first to do it, and they are peer-reviewed. If I remember correctly, I don't remember the name. I'm pretty sure it was out of Brazil. Again, this is where my brain starts to spin. It's because, again, if they were just the results of, say, you know, grave robbers sticking body parts together and such, I would be confused to think of how nobody has seemed to find that yet. You know what I mean? And then obviously you guys are saying that you're trying to be transparent with the evidence. Things have been posted online. Obviously you gave us access to data. We've looked at it. We're not experts, but I mean, I know enough about the human body to know certain things that I'm looking at, and it is a lot more strange than just a mishmash of different sections from different bodies. There's something else at play here in the least. I mean, just, I could be wrong, right? But I'm just going by what I'm seeing initially, and Digby feels the same way, because initially we were very skeptical of it because we had never seen anything like this before. But it has hung around, and if Gary Nolan says it's interesting, I have to defer to Gary Nolan because he is literally one of the top experts in immunology in the world. So he has these, this type of data. He does have the ability to look at it and tell us if it's going to be nonsense or not. And if he says it's interesting and deserves a double check, I have to go by what he says because he
John
is
McDowell,
an expert.
John McDowell says that it's interesting too. He sent a letter to the government of Peru. I don't know if you know this. He sent a letter to the Minister of Peru, to the Minister of Culture of Peru, and the government of Peru, asking them for more investigation, telling them this was very interesting. This should be investigated. And he offered to conduct the investigation and take these bodies to the right places to be investigated. It's not that enough. It's not that it's telling you that there is something behind all this finding, not just a simple hoax that Maussan presented in the Mexican Congress. I mean, would be like a joke. I mean, I would destroy 50 years of career. I have a business. I have a news company. I have a big business. I'm going to have a television channel in the next few months. I've been in television for 50 years with my show.
You could go to jail.
Just to present a fake bodies there? I mean...
Plus, it would be disrespectful to the culture of Peru to do something like that. There's a lot of talk about that if somebody had gone out and basically, you know, just went in there with a shovel and started taking pieces out of grave sites. It's like, that's disrespectful to a heritage site. And essentially, you know, that, I don't know what all the laws are like in Peru, but I would imagine you could go to prison for something like that too. You know, that...
Absolutely. Yeah. I could be in prison right now. Why I'm not in prison? Why nobody has any charge against me? Why nobody? because there is no way they can do it.
What do you think the reason for all these different species that obviously share a lot of similarities? What do you think in your mind? I mean, I know this is just speculation, but why do you think that there are these different species all buried in the same place?
Is that that's the most difficult question to answer. Why all these creatures that are so different? One of them has how can I say it? Like a
Like a
shark
fin? A fin.
thing there, fin.
Yeah.
And others are very different. We presented one in the Congress that doesn't have ribs, and it's so different. I don't know, but all of them are tridactyls. It means that all of them came from the same origin, the same planet. I am the only one saying that this could be extraterrestrial, not the scientists, me. Because why me? Because the genetic investigation proves that they are hybrids, especially Maria, because they have metal inside that is unknown for that cultures at that time, because they have physical differences, because there is no evolution on Earth to that point, and there is nothing before and nothing after. It's like they just came here. That is why I consider time will tell. Time will tell. I'm not a scientist. I'm not proposing. It's just my opinion. Okay, that they are ETs. Me.
It's also very interesting. I mean, we're beyond the fact now that we think that they're modern day fakes. That's fine. But what's really interesting is the fact that whether they were 1,000 years old and faked, or whether they were 1,000 years old and they were real, it doesn't explain the fact that modern day Hollywood managed to figure out what these creatures looked like and copy them for now very popular 80s movies like Close Encounters and E.T. They all bear the same resemblance as these
That's
creatures.
weird.
And
That's
that's
weird.
crazy. And then I
Very weird.
find out not so long ago that one of the advisors to Spielberg was a US agent who was previously posted in Peru before he went over and
He's
advised Spielberg.
the author of Crypto's Conundrum.
Yeah, which is just crazy. So, I mean, I think we all know that the US government and Hollywood...
Chase Brandon.
Yeah,
Chase Brandon, I believe his name is, yeah.
There's so many interesting parts about this. And personally, this is one of my favorite cases because, I think that you're doing the right thing. I think that you need to get these over. Not that you should have for people to believe you, but the case will be that if you can get these over to the States and you can get these to a university, it's going to just, quite simply, it will shut an awful lot of people up. I don't agree with that should be the case. I think anybody should be able to look at any qualified person from any country, from any university. We should take them seriously. Unfortunately, I do think there is a bit of stigma attached for some people, which I don't agree with, and I'm sure Tom will back me up here. I think if a university has looked at it, I think if specialists have looked at it, it shouldn't matter where they come from. But this is the world that we currently live in, unfortunately. I agree with you. I think you're doing the right thing in the sense that you are literally opening this up to the world and saying, please come here or we'll take them there to get the answers. I think that's absolutely great. And also from my part, Jaime, when I asked you if I could see all the CT scans and everything like that, you responded to me within an hour or so and said, yes, absolutely. And by the next day I had them. So, I personally can say that from my part, all I've experienced is you being very open and giving me all the information that I requested.
There is nothing to hide, Digby. Nothing to hide. We've been open from the very beginning to anyone who wants to investigate this. Joyce has taken many scientists to Peru, to the places, to the bodies, and all of them have been very pleased because we never try to hide anything. I mean, when you present something fake, you don't want people to see it. You want to be, obscure. I don't know where they are. I cannot give you this.
Right, yeah.
Price or whatever. No. What we want is this to be recognized. It's very important. Joyce, go ahead.
Claro, sí, es único. O sea, no hay manera de que uno pueda ocultar algo así. Todo el tiempo lo que hacemos es compartir la información, aunque hagan mal uso luego de ella. pero compartimos la información, se traen a científicos, se invitan a catedráticos. Todas las puertas siempre están abiertas, incluso hasta los más críticos, para que vengan a revisar lo que hemos hecho y lo que han hecho casi 50 científicos. Jaime, por favor, tradúcele.
Sí, no, we have been always very open. More than 50 scientists have come here, and we are ready to provide any kind of investigation or anything they ask for. You know, even people that doesn't use well what we give them. You know, and it's the same thing. I mean, we are open to anyone who is serious, who is an expert and wants to participate. We are happy to provide anything we have. We have not asked for any money for this. Joyce has not asked for any money for anything. We have done this openly. It's not a business. No, it had cost me what, $1 million probably. Probably. Do you think I could put $1 million in something that is a fake? Why? What's the reason? What am I going to get from there?
Yeah, I get that. And also, if you were going to fake this, you wouldn't fake as many bodies. You would fake, one or two, and it would be,
I don't know how you would do that.
I don't know where you'd even
personally.
begin. And also not, for them to stand up through x-rays and CT scans and stuff like that. One question I do have, though, actually, and it is one thing that sticks in my mind that I don't know the answer to. There was talk you remember when the x-rays came out of Josephina, and then the sort of, you couldn't see the hands, but there were images previously of the hands. And one of the first criticisms was that the bones in the hands on one hand were opposite way round to the other. And that's the only thing for me that I don't understand. What can you say to that?
Have somebody presented that proof, or is just pure speculation? I don't know why the hand is not there. We never say, "Oh, don't hide this, don't move this." No, the X-rays were done by experts in Peru, by specialists in Peru. I didn't do them.
I mean, in some of the scans, some of the pictures, the bones in the finger were the other way round compared to the other hand. Is the only thing that I've seen online that I thought, hang on a second. That was the first thing that made me question.
If an expert looked at very carefully, probably it's going to be an explanation, a normal explanation, because it's the same. I mean, all the bodies were found in the same place. Everything is the same. It's not something was done well and the other is incorrect. No. I mean, when the bodies come and we do the investigation, I think there's going to be an explanation for that. At the moment, I don't know what it is, because...
No, that's fair enough. It's fine not to have the answer. I'd rather you say you didn't know, because, that's fine. But the only reason why I bring it up is because it was the first thing that I looked at a few months ago, went, hey, that's a bit funny, I don't understand that. So I just wanted to put that to you.
Maybe nobody understands it,
If this were fake, I mean, I would go to history as one of the hoaxers. More, what can I say?
It's not the legacy you want.
The hoaxing Hall of Fame.
You want to go to history that way? No way, my friend.
No, I get you. Tom, do you have anything you'd like to ask?
I more of a statement that I'd like to make is that I feel that a lot of times when cases in ufology are presented, people and it's okay to do it because we all do it. They look at who's presenting the case, and there are too many determinations that are made based on who may be presenting it instead of just focusing purely on the data and the information at hand. I feel that that should always be the focus. And if you're laying these bodies out and saying, listen, every scientist in the world, we're inviting you to come look at it, if they don't, and that's based on their own bias or anything of that nature, then truthfully, they don't really have any room to speak if they're not willing to come and actually look at it. If they come and they look at it and draw a conclusion and form an opinion based on that, then I absolutely will hear that out because they are the experts and I have to defer to them in that case. But if you're just somebody that is on the internet that is just looking at images, which is where we're at, honestly, it's the best we can do because we don't have access to the physical parts and we wouldn't even know what to do with them, to be fair. We can only render a certain opinion as well.
That's what John McDowell, William Rodriguez, and Jim Caruso did. Three experts of the high level in the US went to Lima, checked the bodies, and said they didn't say they are ETs, they didn't say it's proven, whatever. They said it's worth to be investigated.
And
This
that's
is
fair.
very interesting. That's all they said.
That's very fair. It's okay to do that because this is I mean, if we just take a step back and look at the big picture of what these bodies could represent, it's enormous, right? So this is one of those scientific discoveries that if it is what we think it looks like, it has to be looked at and triple checked, because we would do it with anything else. We did it with when we split the atom, we did it with dinosaurs. We've done it with a lot of different things. This is bigger than perhaps any of those things, if it is extraterrestrial or hails from another dimension or anything of that, or even if it is from Earth. Even if it's like a lost part of evolution that came down from dinosaurs, or it's like a missing link to humans somewhere, that's still enormous. So we still have to really look at this in a fair way, honestly. No matter what we feel about the subject, we have to look at it and let the experts tell us what they think.
That's what we think. That's why Joyce has put his life in danger. That's why he has had to leave his family alone, to hide or to try to avoid the punishment from
crazy.
the Ministry of Culture of Peru. You think because we fake them? Because this is so important for humanity. We have to risk our careers or lives or what they say about us, because this is worth it. This is going to change the future of our kids. You know why I did it? When we presented this is because David Grosh presented his testimony in Peru.
Yeah.
Then I talked to the congressman in Mexico, and I said, let's do this. Mexico has to recognize the UAPs in Mexico, and he agreed to that. And when he did that, and I realized that Grosh said that there were bodies that the United States government had, and they were not presented. I said, we have bodies, and we can present them because they are in the hands of the civil society of the world. These bodies are not in the hands of the government.
Yeah.
This is the first time that an evidence of this size is in the hands of us, we the people. We the people have the evidence. We have the proof. And that is why it's so important. This is the government and this is the people. And for the first time, we have the way to prove that this phenomenon is real. That's my opinion. And we have the evidence because the evidence is physical. Physical, it cannot be destroyed, can be analyzed, can be, whatever you want, but it's there. It's a proof. And that's why it's so important.
Any government, no CIA, no FBI, only independent journalists, investigators, scientists.
Joyce, can you speak to some of the struggles that you've had? Jaime, you've been saying that Joyce has he's feared for his life and there's been ramifications for his actions. Joyce, can you speak to some of the things that have happened to you and the experiences you've had?
Bueno, fue un momento complicado, fue difícil, porque no me imaginé que estando en mi propio país, las autoridades tendrían que irse contra civiles por la investigación que están haciendo. Yo no estoy cometiendo un delito, yo puedo caminar por las calles, hacer toda mi vida normal, y sin embargo, tuvimos la información de que habían sembrado personas para tratar de seguirme y tratar de llegar a la ubicación o a quiénes son las personas que tienen estos cuerpos. Jaime, tradúceles, por favor.
Sí, well, he never thought as a civilian that he would be followed by his own government because he was investigating something like this, and they were trying to follow to see if through him they could find this evidence. We don't know why they wanted this evidence to destroy it or what. We don't know where they are. we can get the evidence, but we don't know where it is. It's being hidden because, as you can understand, it's very difficult. If you remember, in the second press conference we gave in Lima, the
Yeah.
authorities went in the middle of that
Yeah,
and they
yeah,
tried
I
to
saw that.
confiscate the bodies. They tried to destroy the conference, and to make scare the American scientists that were there.
Yeah.
And two of them, they got very scared. What is going to happen here? Why the police is here? 20 policemen in the room. Come on! If we're investigating bodies of all moments, what did we do? Just imagine the interest to try to close this case, to finish this case, to destroy probably the evidence. We don't know. Fortunately, the bodies were not there. We don't know where they are. If you ask me, I don't really know where they are. I don't think Joyce knows where they are. We know the people who knows where they are. But we will never say, as journalists, we will never say who they are. Okay? That's what it is.
So you have other people that have the bodies, and then they can bring them forward when they need analysis.
There are people that has the bodies in a very, it could be impossible to find them. Impossible. If we want to find them today, we couldn't. We need the help of others, but we will never say who they are. Okay?
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
We're getting to the end of our hour now, and I thank you very much for your time. But before we go, could you speak to what the next steps are for you with this case?
Yeah, to finish the lawsuit, because they're going to have to negotiate, and my conditions are we need to get all the bodies that are around, because there are probably 20, 30, 40 bodies around. Okay, we need to get them back. We have to preserve them, because as we talk, they are decaying, because they are out of the place they were for 1,000 years. And finally, besides the investigation, we want to take the bodies out of Peru to special places, investigate them, and take them back to Peru. They belong to Peru. They belong to the people from Nazca, from Palpa. They have to be there. We have to build a museum. The money I'm going to get from the government is going to be used to build a museum. I am not interested in getting the money. If they don't want to negotiate, I will take the money and run. Okay? But if they want to negotiate, I want these bodies to be investigated. I want to build this museum for the rest of the people around the world to go to Peru and check this out personally. I think it's worth it, and that's my plan. And I hope this is going to happen in the next 4 to 8 months. We will be in touch, my friends. And anytime you want to call me, I will tell you what it is and what is happening. I just talked to my lawyer, and he's extremely happy. He said that now many people inside the government are with us. They believe this is stupid, because this is the biggest treasure ever found by Peru. And some people from Peru are trying to destroy this. This is against their own country. They are not acting in favor of Peru. They are acting against the people of Peru, against the people of Nazca and Palpa. Don't you think they want this? Don't you think they would change the way of life? How many millions people would go to Nazca and Palpa to see this? They would change the whole area just because of this. You know what I mean?
You're not wrong. And it does beg the question why they want to hide it so much. Disclosure is there. We would have disclosure already if it wasn't for governments all around the world trying to put the toothpaste back in the tube or keep the genie in the bottle, as it were. Peru is probably exactly the same as the UK government, as the American government, and governments all around the world. For some reason, they want to keep this from the people, and that's probably because if they don't, then we'll find out their involvement in it all along.
I did write something in my X account. It's very short. We have the truth in our hands. and the power to change the paradigm of the world. From this small corner of the planet, we show you the true meaning of the word declassified.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I like
Excellent.
that.
Excellent.
All the links to everybody will be in the description of today's episode as well. So anybody watching that wants to follow anybody, all the links will be in the description. Unless Tom, unless you have anything else,
all
that
I'll
you would
say
like
is,
to ask.
gentlemen, gracias por estar aquí con nosotros. It was a pleasure being here with you guys. Thank you for taking the time out of your schedules to sit here with us. Digby and I are always very appreciative of everybody that comes on our show. So thank you so much for sharing your side of this story, because obviously it's a big one. It was quiet for a little bit, and now it has come back up, and we are watching this very, very closely.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Both.
Yeah,
Thank you both for all your time. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye, Joy.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Digby.
Thanks for watching today's episode of the Unidentified Anomalous Podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please don't forget to check out our previous interviews and episodes where we cover a range of subjects from the UFO phenomenon, high strangeness, consciousness, spirituality, and many more. Leave a like if you could, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new content. Much love, everyone. Take care.